Dan Deming of KKM Financial joins me on this Monday. Good to have you on the show,
Thanks,
Dan.
Angie. Thanks for having me.
As you know, today starts a new round of earnings coming into the market. So what is your anticipation?
Well, you know, the market's kind of in an area here that you can see last week that we saw these moves really starting to get more pronounced. Volatility re-entered the market last week, particularly when you look at realized volatility. We saw several days where we saw the market really move significantly up and then down. So, you know, I think that that's going to continue to be the theme moving through the earnings announcements. We certainly, you know, the feature this week is primarily the banks when you have three big banking names coming out. And, you know, the market's going to probably glean from that information very early, you know, what is the expectations as we move through the earnings cycle based on what the banks see in their outlook.
Right, we do have Alcoa today, but then coming right on the heels of Alcoa, you have JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells coming in. Now, I noticed some options call buys that were going on ahead of these bank earnings. Are traders thinking that there's reason for these financial stocks to ramp up off of earnings?
Well, I think that it's possible. Certainly, that's a sector that's been beaten down in the first quarter. So if there's any shift in the interest rate expectations moving forward, the banks, you know, might benefit from that. So I think there would certainly be, if you're looking for that mean reversion type of situation, because the banks have been beaten down so much, that would be another possible reason why to look at the banking sector as possibly outperforming in the next quarter.
What do you think about volatility? You mentioned that we had some big swings in the market last week, but at the same time, there were some quiet periods last week as well. So what do you see as far as the VIX and implied volatility here?
Well, you know, I think when you look at, like you said, that we hit those plateaus where the market was able to kind of rest, but overall the moves were much more dramatic last week than we've seen, you know, the previous couple of weeks. When you look at realized volatility, definitely a pickup in short-term realized volatility. So I would expect, as we saw, the VIX, you know, jumping back up somewhat, anticipating further movement, and you know, based on the earnings cycle. Plus, we have news items this week. There's a lot of news items with the PPI, CPI, and also retail sales coming out as well.
It could be a mover of a week. Thanks so much for
be.
coming on this show.
Thanks for having me.